Warning: some of the audio in this video is distorted. We have provided captions due to the technical issues. Enjoy the video.
This is Justin Velasco. You're watching Field Dreams Club. I have a special guest with me today, one of my friends, one of my homies, and also someone who spoke about God while I was in high school, but I never really, went forward with it. But we have Marvin. He is actually let me ask you what do you do? What is, like, what I'm saying, like, what is your title? I know you're Marvin, but, like, you go to church, but what do you do at church? What do you do?
I have two, I guess you want to say titles, right? I am a youth leader, right? For a place that's called Connection, right? I go to a church that's centered around Jalisco and predominantly Hispanic church, but I'm also a producer. I produce for all
Okay.
the online stuff. Yeah. It's not just me doing it all, right? Obviously, I got my team, right? I'm just the person that like kind of coordinates things, makes the schedules, and just like, you know, I do the click. I just click buttons, That's all I pretty much do.
Damn,
You
you're
know,
a producer.
my camera people do their stuff, and my sound people do their stuff, and all I do is just click some buttons,
Damn.
make sure things are going well.
Wow. Well, I didn't know you were a producer, man. He making some beats in there, selling me stuff.
Nah.
But yeah, I brought him today because I don't have some questions, but I had questions before, and, like, I wanted you guys to hear from a guy who goes to church, and ever since I knew him, he like he was like preaching about God, and, like, at first I would listen, but I wouldn't, like, actually, like, I wouldn't actually, like, follow, so, like, it was always there in my head. I never, like, denied it, but, like, every time you spoke, I legit, like, I listened to it. Even the little mini conversation you had with somebody else, I would listen on it, but, like, I wouldn't deny it. Like, it will be there, and it will stick with me for, like, a long time. So that's why I did message him before. I was like, thank you for, like, you know, um, like just being there, being there, like, like someone who believes in God, and, like, preaching it, because, I don't know, like, I feel like it did help because, I had questions and you would answer them, and then, I just wouldn't put my foot forward, but it was still there, So that I do appreciate him for that, because, if he wasn't there, I don't know. I don't know.
No, for sure, for sure. I think genuinely there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of questions about God. And although I don't have the answers to everything, and although I don't have the answers to the world or to life, right? Because I still go through a bunch of stuff. I still have a bunch of issues. Um, but I just, from a very young age, from 12, I got closer to God. Um, and when people would just ask me, I felt like it was my duty to like tell them, because it's like when you're spitting so much game, I feel like that's what it was, right? I kept saying like, man, I'm a Christian, right? I'm proud, this, and this, and then people would like ask me questions, and I'm like, I have to answer them, right? The only way I could answer them is if I genuinely read my Bible, right? Because they would ask questions, and if I don't know my Bible, if I don't know my scripture, then I'm not really preaching the gospel. I'm just preaching what Marvin's philosophy is.
Yep, you're right. Also, I do want to connect that a little bit. With me, I read the Bible, like, when I first, like, it wasn't like an instant, like a testimony. It was just like over time. It was like, like, I can't deny it no more. Like, he's been right there, but I just never saw it. And then I finally saw it. But, like, I read my Bible when I first, like, had that realization. I read it, but, like, now it's like it's hard for me to pick it up for some reason. It's still there. I want to pick it up, but it's not. I just, my brain doesn't do that. Do you have any, like, advice for someone like me, who's trying to read the Bible, but, like they're trying, but they can't pick it up?
Honestly, that's still an issue that I have. I've always told my leader, right, that out of all the four like big pillars, you have your worship, you have your praying, you have your fasting, and then you have scripture. Man, back in high school, I hated reading. I hated picking up a book. When like we had a teacher called Mr. Tallarico, Man, I hate it when he would be like, let's read this book, and I'm just like, I'm not picking up this book, right?
Yep.
But sometimes it's just being initiative. Like, I think that's the word, like, not initiative. You are taking initiative, right? But you have to choose to want to read the Bible. You know, you close your eyes and say, God, speak to me. I have my pastor always told me, do a 15-minute rule, right? 5 minutes of worship, 5 minutes of prayer, and then 5 minutes of reading scriptures, right? That's all it takes, right? If you were to do that every single day, those things stack up, right? It's like when you work out. Those things start to add up. If you work out real hard, if you bench 400 the first day, you ain't expecting to come out jacked the next day. You're just gonna be really sore tomorrow,
Yep.
right? And so it's those small little initial like those little moments that you build together. It's those small things that if you start reading your Bible for 5 minutes each and every day, that means in the whole week, that's 35 minutes. And in 2 weeks, you read the whole hour and 5 minutes in the Bible, or 10 minutes, something like that, right? And in 4 weeks, that's 2 hours and 30 minutes, right? And so then people start to question, just like, wow, you do read your Bible, even if it was 5 minutes a day.
Yeah. Where do you think like a beginner should start? Like, should we start from Genesis, or what part of the Bible should someone start like as a beginner? You know, because I started from Genesis, and like I feel like for some reason like I keep doing it, like, and every time I want to read the Bible again, I keep starting from Genesis. Do I read
Genesis is
another
a
part?
pretty hard book to Genesis is a pretty hard book to read, only because it has like a lot of history in it, right? And you're just going to see a bunch of numbers. You're going to see like this person's related to this person's related to that person, this person's related to that person. Um, you're going to see a bunch of stuff. You're going to know the famous story of Adam and Eve, how they fell into temptation. And when you read something that you feel like you're familiar to, when you're really not, you just heard it a bunch of times. You don't feel like reading it because you're like, oh, I know how this movie ends. Oh, I know how this happens, right? And so you don't feel like rewatching it, or you don't feel like rereading it, although you haven't experienced it, right? Think about it like this: you watching you plan on watching Infinity Wars, right? It was a very famous movie that was out there, but let's say you had a friend that was big on spoilers, right? You would spoil you on everything. This and this happened. This and this happened. And Endgame, Iron Man's gonna die. Da 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 blah blah blah. And now you lost the will to watch the movie yourself, right? Um, Although it was a very good movie, I feel like it's similar to with the Bible. You know, you've heard so many stories that you feel like, oh, I know how this movie's gonna end. But to answer your question, start in the New Testament: Matthew, Luke, John, um, and you'll realize that a lot of them are similar, but they have a little bit of their own, flavors. They're the evangelists, the four evangelists, and you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn so much from it. You're going to learn from the moment how Jesus spoke about parables. Now, something about parables are like poems, right? They're like, and it's difficult because you're like, what do you mean? Because even the disciples, they were like, what do you mean by this? And it's okay to ask questions. That's how I learned, right? If I had any questions, I would go to my leader and be like, hey, you know, I don't get this. You know, help me understand, right? Make it make sense, right? This is not this is not like a competition, right? It's not, oh, you're reading more than I am, or I'm reading more than you are, so that makes me better than you. No, no. It is because we're all equal, that we're all trying to learn about God, that we should all try to do it together, right? That's why, for me, it's always easier to read the Bible when I got somebody with me, right? There's this Bible, the Bible app. You can make plans together, reading about the Bible. Obviously, having your own devotional with God is important because your own personal relationship with God grows and gets deeper. But we're also supposed to create this thing that we call the church. The church isn't meant for people that are amazing, that have all the lives or all the life problems solved and this and this. It's for people that are sick. It's for people that need help, right? And that's what we're here for. When my youth say, "Hey, Marvin, can we fast?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, let's fast. When and where? I don't care about the date. I don't care if I have work. I don't care if I have this. Let's fast because it's important to fast." And when my youth say, "Let's fast," then me as an authority, I have to be like, what you want me to say? No, like this is not how it works, right? If at any moment people ask for your help, you have to be there. You have to be there because that's what God has called us to do. God has called us to be peacemakers, not people that abandon others, right? We were called to be peacemakers. We were called to be able to help others that don't know what to do with life. You know, that's always been something that's been deep inside of me. Helping others, regardless of what it is, regardless if I can or if I can't, right? I will try my dang best to help others. That's what's important. Is helping others, right? Whether it's, "Hey Marvin, I don't know how to pray." I'm like, "Okay, let me tell you. The best way to pray is just say thank you. Thank you because I have this computer. Thank you because I have my phone. Thank you because I have clothes on me because there's people that don't. There are a lot of people out here that don't have technology. There's a lot of people that can't take a shower. There's a lot of people that don't have running water to drink or to have food to eat. There's a lot of people out there. So when you realize the small things in life matter, and you start to really enjoy the moment that you're in, that's when you start to realize how good God has been in your life.
Wow.
That's when you realize.
No, that was you spit some knowledge. I ain't gonna lie. Like I'm gonna look back at this too. And I'm gonna like I'm gonna like every question I have. Sometimes it comes back up and I just forget. I'm gonna look back at this. Um, but also I had another question. Where was it? Um, oh, do Christians do they have to go to church or like is someone supposed to go to church like if you want to follow God or like yeah should we go to church? Do we have to or what do you think?
See, that's a pretty tricky question, right? Only because I've heard that there's been a lot of churches that have, or I've been told by other people, "Oh, I don't go to church because the church hurt me," or that this and this and this and that, and that the church is filled with hypocrites, and that this and this and this and that. And what I've realized is that I grow exponentially with God when I'm at church. The reason I say that, I don't go to church for people. I go to church for Jesus, right? It's where I have found peace in my heart, right? Rather someone says, "Man, you look horrible, man, this and this," or people start to, there's rumors inside the church, or this and this and this and that. Don't let it affect you. Because if you read your word, you know the truth. You know the truth. And there's a lot of people that nowadays they just like to judge. And honestly, it happens. I judge. I'm like, "Man, I don't like how how this ministry does that, or I don't like how this ministry does that." Right? I've said it before, but then it's my part to not only judge, right, or to criticize, but to be able to help that place, right? Because you might go to the church, right, and you're like, "Oh man, this church has a lot of people that speak bad. This church does this." You be the difference. You gotta be the difference, right? And when you be the difference at a church, you start to realize that not only have you built yourself a community to be with, right, but you've built another home to be at. Church is like my house. Church is like I go to church and I take care of it. Because it's the place that the Lord has made, right? And I just love going to church. If I were to tell you all the times I go to church in a week, I'm not saying that you have to do it like I do, right? I go to church on Tuesdays because my church has prayer. I go to church on Wednesdays because I got producing rehearsal. I got band rehearsal. So the production team and the band comes together. I got Friday services with the youth. I got Saturdays with my small groups, and then Sunday I got my general service. But when I go to church, I just love being surrounded by the people, right? I don't have to be the center of attention, but I just love talking to people because I've seen how everyone's grown. I've seen how the difference between when I was 12 and the difference now that I'm 20, right? It's so weird to say that I'm 20, right? To say that this and this and this and that has been happening, but it's crazy to see that when I'm at church, things grow so much. And I just love being at church, right? And so if you don't have a church, I recommend you to find a church, right? Give it some time. Maybe you might not like it the first day or second day, but give it some time, right? Give it a week, give it a month, give it 2 months, give it a year, right? And you'll start to see the change in your life that you'll start to see. You'll start to see other youth that want to get closer to God. Surround yourself with people that also want to get closer to God. Because there's this famous saying, if I give, if I know who you are by your five top closest friends, something like that, right? If your five friends are all alcoholics, the chances that you are probably the sixth, you know? So it's that same way. If you're around 5 millionaires, you're probably the sixth, right? If you're around five people that smoke, you're probably the sixth. If those are the people that you spend time with, you're you're going to end up becoming like them. Either it's for the good or for the bad. So imagine me going to a church. My church isn't super big. It's not one of those mega churches. But my church is a pretty big, decent size. We have a pretty much like 300 plus members. I don't know all 300 plus members, right? I can't say all of their names, but I know that when I go to church, I'm happy to see everybody. And when I don't see somebody, I'm like, you didn't come to church, you know? And just find yourself a church. That's where it starts. Because if you don't know where to start, there are leaders that know how to help you get there. I didn't know how to pray. I heard my leaders pray. I didn't know how to read my Bible. But when I was at church, my pastor was explaining the Bible. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it means. I didn't know how to fast until my pastor was like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and do this Daniel fast as a church. I was like, Daniel fast? What? I'm gonna go vegan for 21 days? That sounds horrendous. But then when you learn the meaning behind the Daniel fast, I'm like, oh, this sounds like fire. This sounds like God's about to do something. And I didn't know how to worship until you're surrounded by people on a Sunday service, all with their hands up, worshiping God. You make the difference. You make the difference. When you go to church, you're going to learn so much. You're not going to learn it all in one day, but through time and experience. Once you experiment the presence of God, you'll learn that there's so much more to it than just, oh, there's people that say bad things. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that answered a question I didn't know I had, but it was like um my brain just went blank. Why? um, damn. So you answered one of the question. It was, oh yeah. So like you have to surround yourself. But you're right. Like obviously, like you know that, but you're not really thinking it. Like you're surrounding yourself. If you surround yourself by like smokers or drinkers, you know, you probably become one of the, you probably become one of the next one, you know.
Yep.
And that's what I thought of it that way as well, because I'm not sure if you remember, but I never drunk, never smoked. I still never do it. And I did it
Yeah.
because of that reason, because everybody in my family does it. So and I was like, I need to be the difference, but I don't know why I didn't apply it to, you know, to God. You know, that's one thing I forgot to apply it to. You know, so now I know.
Something I've realized about God's favor is that even when you don't ask for it, He still shows up in your life, right? Even when I was 5 or when I was younger, um, I didn't have this desire to do anything because it shows how much God's favor is over your life. He knows that if I would have fell into it, that I probably wouldn't be able to get myself out. And so there's a lot of people that are going through a lot of these temptations, a lot of these sins, and they're looking for a way out. But God has probably already given them the way out. They just haven't accepted it, you know? And so God's always there. God's always going to show up in their lives and ask, hey, come back to me. He's a father with his arms wide open. And he's just willing, he's just waiting like a gentleman, waiting for you to patiently come back. He's always gonna be there. And that's what I've realized in my life. That maybe I don't know where I'm going in my life. Maybe I don't know where he's taking me, but I trust him. I trust him. And that's the difficult part. Is this we have this big, at least our generation, have this big problem with trust. Right? We have this big problem with trust. Oh, I can't trust this person. I don't trust this person. I don't trust this person. This person, this person, this person, not. And we have this big problem because we've been hurt so many times. But I say give it one more chance. Trust God one more time. And you'll see what God can do in your life. Because it's hard. I'm a person that is the complete opposite. I'm one of those people that are very bubbly, and you say something, I'll believe it, right? I'm very gullible. You're one of those people that be like, hey, man, I just got this raise, and I got this, I got that. I'll be like, shoot, that's great, right? I'm one of those people that will believe everything you say, and that might be a problem in some cases, right? But it's because I always have the best hopes for everybody. Right? I'm always hoping for others to do great, to be able to do this or that. And I'm just I'm just realizing that the person that I should be trusting with my family, with with my financials, with with my ministry, with whatever you want in life, that the person I should be trusting is God. And that's the only person I trust. Right? Obviously, if my family was to say, hey, um, this and this, or I need help, or blah, blah, I'm always going to be there for them. But my priority is God. My priority will always be God. Because I've seen Him help my family. I've seen Him help my friends' families. I've seen Him restore families. I've seen Him heal sick. I've seen Him do so many stuff in life. Then how can I not believe in Him? How can I not put full trust in Him if I see that one, He's working in my life, and two, I see Him working in other people's lives? How could I not trust Him? How can I not trust that God is going to do something great? And that's something that you grow into. Obviously, I get it. Trusting God when you think that He hasn't been there, that you think that it's hard, that there's like He's not. God isn't going to show up down and just say with a deep voice, with his deep melodic voice, son of mine, this and this and this and that, I need you to go across nations to baptize people in the name of the Father, Son, and He's not going to say that. He says it in His Word already. He says it in His Word what we need to do. But I sense His presence like I said, going back to a different question, in church, when I'm surrounded by people. But how can I not trust God? You go into it. You start to realize,
I think you put out. Okay. Oh, that good. You good now?
I'm good, okay. That even when I can't see it, He's working. Even when I can't feel it, He's working. Even when I'm asleep, He's working. Even when I'm at work, He's working. Right? Even when I don't give Him the attention that He deserves, He's working. He's working for my good. Because He's always trying to do the best for you.
Yep.
He's always, if you start to realize that in life, man, this is going great for me. Man, this is going good for me. You know, the first thing that we should be doing is saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God, because you have always been there. Because how many times have we been, when we were young, how many times when we were young, say, I don't know how this is going to happen. No clue how it's going to happen. 5, 10 years down the road, we're like, whoa, it happened. So many times it's happened, at least in my life, right? I've seen him, oh, whoa, I don't know how I'm going to get healed. I have no idea, right? Born with, my family has a long line of illnesses, and I can get deeper into that. I was born with my illness, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get healed. Doctors say that there is no cure in this unless I have surgery, this and this, and this and that. And one day my leader said, do you believe you're going to get healed? And I was like, yeah, of course, right? And then she was like, let's fast. And I was like, okay, let's fast. I went home crying. I was like, God, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. My faith is still in you. Whether I get healed or not, my faith is still in you. Because so many times we feel like God has to do something. That God needs to give us something. When He already died on the cross for us. That's all that He needed to do. Sometimes we demand God. God, give me a lovely wife. Give me a lovely husband. Or God, give me this money. God, give me this car. Give me this house. And then we feel like we deserve it. We feel like we deserve it because, I don't know, because we want it. But then we realize that God has already done everything in the entire world. That even if He didn't give me anything for the rest of my life, I will still be happy. Because I will always remember that He died on the cross for me. So if I gave my life to Christ, I'm going to heaven. Right? So I gave my life to Christ, got baptized, continue to get closer to God, continue to get my relationships closer to God. I'm not afraid. Right? There's some people that are scared. And that's okay. It's okay to feel these emotions of being lost or being confused or being frustrated. We're humans. We have these emotions in us, but we have to realize that the only person that can truly take care of us is Jesus Christ. So, although He has been so good in our lives, and although He has been so great in our lives, we should always say thank you for the things that He's done in our lives already. Instead of always going to prayer and saying, God, I need this. God, I need that. God, I need this. Instead of us talking the whole time, we should let Him talk, right? We should let Him speak to us first. Because just like how me and you have this friendship, you talk, then I talk, and then you talk, then I talk, you know? We should both be good listeners and good speakers. Because the Bible says, be slow to get angry and be quick to listen. Be quick to listen. There's a lot of people that we gotta continue moving. We gotta get the grind going. We gotta continue getting this money. Right?
Yeah.
We gotta continue getting this bag. and we forget to slow down, to breathe, and say thank you.
Yep. And also, like, when I was, well, for weird listening to myself, when I was like, in high school, I was like that person. Like, didn't let people finish, speaking. And like, also one thing that helped me, like, when I found God, I became more, I showed more emotion. I was more, I had more empathy for people. Before I didn't really care. Like there was some tragic stuff that happened, and I wouldn't care. Like I would say, "Oh, that sucks," but I never really cared. Um, and like, but yeah, like ever since I found him, everything. Like I remember just one time I was on my bed right here, and like it was before I went to sleep. Um, I did a prayer, and then I thought about Jesus dying on the cross, and I was like, I started tearing. Like I was like crying. Like I was like, wow. Like I don't know. Like it happened like 3 days straight. I believe. Like it kept happening. I was like, I felt bad. Like wow. Like I was imagining like how he suffered and everything. I was like, wow. Like and people still don't believe him, or still like people bash on him. After what he did, I was like, wow. Like, and I was one of them too. I was like, before I didn't care, but I'm happy I found him. It was it was me sitting back. Like I was once I just thought I was like just sitting in the room. I was like he saved me here, he saved me there, and he saved me that there too. But when I was in that moment, I didn't really care. And then it all started from like just thanking God, like in the little moments. Like I'll be in my car, I'll be like, I thank God I have a car. I kept thinking like every little thing. I was like, thank God I have a phone. Thank God I have this. I kept doing it, and then more and more, I kept improving me. Like that's what I struggled with. Like I knew I had that problem with like not like having like empathy for people or sympathy. Um, and then like ever since I started doing that, thanking God, and then it just kept going and going. Like I kept doing these other things, and like it came to that point where I was on my bed, I was like started crying. So so people, so if you struggle with that, like maybe like if you struggle with like uh struggle to show like emotion or whatever, you're hiding your emotions, start with the little things, and maybe just thanking God, maybe just little things, and hopefully it grows more and more. That's what happened to me.
No, for sure. It's not a 100 meter sprint. It's a marathon. And I've grown with God because of the baby steps. I know there's some people that grow exponentially, and they go through something and they fall hard. But what I realize is that the best way to get closer to God is step by step, just moving little by little. Each step is a step of faith, right? You take one step, take another step, and you start to realize that there's a lot of things happening around you. You know, there's a lot of things that I can explain in life where I didn't know how I was gonna get out of this situation. I didn't know what I was gonna be able to do for my family. I didn't know how was I going to do this, and God continues to show His way in my life, step by step. You know, I get to the level of my relationship with God from overnight. It wasn't like I became a preacher overnight. No, it's step by step, step by step. Learn to just say yes. That's how I learned, right? Although saying yes can be a problem all the time, you have to be willing to grow, and that encourages you to say yes. If someone says, "Hey, you want to come to church?" If you truly desire to get closer to God, say yes. Don't make up an excuse and say, "Oh, I gotta do this," or "I gotta do that," because there is no time for excuses, right? Imagine you went to work, right, and you said, "Hey, I can't show up to work because I gotta take care of my little sister." You're gonna be like, one, that's coming out of your paycheck. Two, you're fired. Three, don't ever come here again,
Yeah.
right? You can't say those things. There is no time for excuses. Even let's say even if it was school. Hey, I couldn't show up because my sister got sick, right? They're still gonna one put you absent. Still, you're going to miss a lot of work at school. You're still going to have to do homework. It's going to affect your grade, and so making excuses doesn't help. It doesn't help. You just we have to learn to say yes. Now, obviously, if you have something to do and it's a mandatory, we understand it, right? But you have to put in your effort to get closer to God. It's not gonna happen just out of nowhere, and you're just gonna feel like, oh, I'm in my kitchen, so I'm going to feel God right here. Although it can happen, we have to understand that it's step by step. There's nothing impossible for God, but God wants to see your effort. Sometimes God doesn't do things in the moment because He wants to see your faith. Because if He were to heal you in this very moment, the chances of us saying thank you in that very moment to Him is very low because we're focused on so many other things that the moment God answers our prayer, we're going to give Him another one to answer. You know, we get our house. God, thank you for this house. Now I need a car. We get our car. Thank you for a car. All right. Now I need a wife. All right. Thank you, God, for this wife. Now I need this. Right. And we can't only show up to God when we need Him. He wants to see our faith. He wants to see how much we truly want this. And when He sees it, He rewards your faith. He rewards you because He says, "Good and faithful servant of mine." You serve God. Serve Him. Doesn't matter in which area, right? Whether you go to a small church and you're an usher, whether you go worship, or you got a great voice or not, rather you preach the gospel, rather like if that's your thing, preach the gospel. Rather you're evangelizing and going out to speak to random strangers and speak about God, great. But serving God is the first step into growing your faith because it becomes a part of you. Serving becomes a part of you. Having a heart to serve Him becomes a part of you. And God is looking for people to do things for His kingdom, right? To expand His kingdom. Not just, oh, here's a brand new car. You don't ever have to show up to church again, or you don't ever have to pray again, right? God is a relationship. Imagine going to your mom or your dad and just showing up for Christmas, they give you a gift and you don't show up till next Christmas. They're gonna feel bad. They're gonna feel mad. My child doesn't love me. My child is just using me for my money. Right? My child doesn't care enough to say how am I doing. My child it doesn't show up to say, hey, I want to go grab something to eat together. Doesn't want to eat at the family table. Doesn't want to do this. Doesn't want to do that. Right? Time goes by quick too. Time goes by quick. So one moment we see our parents, the next moment we don't. And that's the harsh reality that we live in this world. You know, when I was young and I still didn't have my stepdad, my mom would work from 4 p.m. all the way to 7. But she wouldn't get back home until 7. And in the U.S., right, we had to go to school at 8 and come back at 3, or come back home at 3:30. So imagine me getting home at 3:30. My mom says, "Here's a sandwich. Here's some soup. Here's the food already. I gotta go to work." 5. Imagine a 5-year-old just. I felt devastated. I felt devastated every time my mom would go to work, and it would happen and happen and happen until the moment my mom said, "Hey, I'm not gonna have my part-time job anymore." And I was like, "Whoa!" It felt so weird to come back home to see my mom with me. Now my mom goes to work. She's a person that loves to work at night. So she's a night person and she sleeps in the morning. She's nocturnal, right? She works all the way from 10 p.m. all the way to 7, but I get to see her in the afternoon. Whether I go do something and whether I go work and I come back home, it's 5 p.m. and I'm just like, I get to speak to my mom. I get to say, oh, mom, this happened to me. This happened to me. In that relationship, we should be able to mock with God, be able to have that same relationship with God. Because God is always there. And you could always talk to God. Whether you are in the shower, whether you're at work, whether you're driving, or whether you're walking, it doesn't matter what. You can always say, God, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. But man, it's good to be able to breathe. It's good to be able to drink some water. This water tastes good. This water doesn't taste good because it has some type of flavors in it. It's good because you've allowed me to be able to drink it. You know? Thank you, God, because I get to go out with my friends, have the money to be able to eat. And sometimes I don't. Okay. Sometimes, uh, but when I was younger, obviously my friends were a little bit older than me, so they worked before I started working. And whenever I would be like, hey guys, I don't have the money to eat, right? So you guys can go ahead and go without me, right? Because I would always have to ask my mom. And they were like, no, 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 come with us, we'll pay for you. And I'm like, those are good friends right there. But because they were so kind and generous, with one of my youth, because I lead youth that are from 12 to 14, middle schoolers. When my youth say, hey, I don't have anything to eat, or I don't have money to go do this, and we go to 7-Eleven, or we go do this, and I'm like, don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. And I hope that when they grow older, they do the same, to be able to be generous to others. So if you're wondering why people are not kind to you, maybe it's because you haven't been kind to others. If you're wondering why uh, uh, people have always been so mad, maybe it's because you're always mad, right? And we have to be able to grow into those good habits. I'm not saying that you have to give someone $100, right, every single day, but I'm saying, it's a step by step, step by step. We go out with your friends, and you're like, hey, I got this one. Don't worry about it. Really, I got this one. It's $12. You go to McDonald's, you go to Wendy's, wherever you go, Chick-fil-A, and you pay for your friend's food. You're like, I got it. You know? And that passion, that kindness is going to touch your hearts. And they really pay attention to those type of things. They really do. I'm saying, for especially the little ones, they pay attention. My little sister, she pays attention to the things I do. And so if you have little siblings or at all, they pay attention. They pay attention. Even people that are older pay attention. They always like, wow. My stepfather listens to the church. So my stepfather's like, wow. When he has his friends over, Marvin goes to work. Marvin goes to church. He's always going to church. Marvin's a good kid. And I'm like, they notice that stuff, that type of stuff. They notice it.
That's true. Yeah, but I think that was wonderful. That was beautiful. Everything you said was like very I don't know. I guess professional. It was very very informative. But I think it's a good way to end off. Um, I feel like I
Sure.
wanted to have you here in person as well, so we can do like actual professional video. I think I have the
Sure.
vision now, like how it's gonna be. It'll be here in the room. Um, but yeah, hopefully you have some more stuff to share, or you have it in person. But yeah, like I said, this is Marvin. Hopefully you guys, maybe some of the questions you had maybe were answered, maybe something you didn't know was informative to you. But with that being said, make sure you guys give us a like, give us a sub, comment down below. What do you want us to talk about and on these videos? And any questions you have about Christianity or anything. or any topics that you feel like you want us to talk about. But yeah, that's Marvin, one of my good friends. Good friends who was like all of high school. And ever since I knew him, he was like talking about God. I never denied it, but he was always there. And then that's what I do think. And like I was very grateful. So I like that. Like it was like a week later, I believe. A couple weeks later, like I actually like put my foot forward, trying to find God. I thanked him because it was very. It was. Even though it doesn't seem like it was helpful, it was helpful to have him there. Those little moments throughout school and everything. So yeah, there goes Marvin. And that's it. Make sure you guys subscribe and all that. Give us a sub and all that. Any last words, Marvin?
It was just a pleasure to be here. I can't wait to be able to do this in person. Honestly, this was pretty fun to be able to just talk about God and Jesus and stuff like that. But for sure, if they have any questions, go ahead and put it down in the comment section, and he'll take a look at them. And he'll actually, we can have a good discussion about these things.
Yeah. So that's it. Peace.
I was a boxer, but now I'm a fisherman. In this word, I'ma dive, I'ma swim in it. Saving souls, yeah, we tryna get him in. All of that symbol, you gotta get rid of it, huh? Boy, you gotta get rid of it.